morning, you're watching Primetime. I'm Tamanna Inamdar.
And my name is Aayush Ailawadi. Let's take a look at the headlines. The 2.1 lakh crore recap plan powers Indian markets to new highs. The Nifty rallies 130 points. The PSU Bank Index adds 1.1 lakh crores market cap in a day.
Reliance Communications pulls the plug on its wireless business, will transfer some of its high-value customers to its enterprise vertical.
Hindustan Unilever's profit rises the most in 10 quarters, driven by strong growth in volumes. The FMCG giant says trade channels are normalizing post the demonetization disruption.
Government informs Supreme Court that it can extend the deadline for Aadhaar linking to March 31st, but says that the extension will apply only to those who do not have an Aadhaar card yet.
The Gujarat Assembly elections will happen in 2 phases. Voting will be held on December 9th and 14th. Counting will take place on the 18th. Well, let's start with our big story of the day. Now, the 2.1 lakh crore rupees PSU Bank recap plan powered Indian markets to record highs. Sensex surged over a percentage, while Nifty clocked gains just a tad below a percentage point. Now, among individual sectors, the PSU Bank Index posted its biggest single-day gain since its inception, while the Pharma Index incurred losses. State Bank of India, the nation's largest lender, surged 28%, its biggest single-day gain in 25 years. Others, including PNB and Canara Bank, did even better, rallying around 40% each. The PSU Bank Index added 1.1 lakh crore market cap in just a day. Now, to discuss this, Gaurang Shah, Geojit Financial Services, joins us to discuss the record rally in Dalal Street today. Gaurang, thanks for joining us. Is this a short covering rally, or is this something which you think will sustain?
Well, I hope it sustains, but it's really wishful to think that it will. And I don't recollect in my history of being associated with stock market when State Bank of India was up 30%, PNB and others likes of it up about 40%. Now let us understand one whole thing. The health of the balance sheet needs to improve, and that's what the government is trying to do. It's not that this is the first time that they've done it, but yes, it is the first time that close to about 2.1 lakh crore is going to be used to recapitalize banking, depending upon bank to bank, of course. Secondly, history is witness, and we have known in the past that recapitalization has happened, but accountability was not there. I think this is possibly moving to the direction of consolidation that the government has spoken about in the entire PSU banking universe. And there are more than required entities which are there, and most of them are, loss making, having huge asset problem and great provisioning numbers. So my sense is that this is good. It will take time. It's not like it will happen tomorrow, day after. It will be a work in progress, and we still don't know which bank is going to get how much. So this possible spillover of rally could be witnessed tomorrow, but sustainability is a big question mark. And as a disclosure, we have advised clients today and tomorrow, in case if we see the uptick, to take money off the table from certain PSU banks.
Gaurang, hi, Tamanna here. Just as a broader market idea, do you think, you talked about sustainability in certain bank stocks, but do you think for investors at this point, if they want to make, fresh investments, they should wait a bit and let the euphoria die down, or is this the time to ride the wave?
Well, the time was, day before yesterday, Tamanna, and good evening to you. It's great to speak to you after a long time. After 40%, 30%, 35% rally, I think as a fundamental analyst, it doesn't give me enough courage to tell investors to make fresh investment. And like I said, this morning itself, we have advised clients to take money off the table. The problem is which bank will get how much, and how soon will the mess on the balance sheet, which has been gathered because of legacy problem, will be cleared. I don't think it's going to be immediate, because these are problems which have got accumulated over the last 5 years, 10 years and 15 years. And just one quarter is not to clean the mess. It'll take time, and one needs to see the entire consolidation that the government has spoken about, which bank will get merged with whom after the balance sheet issues are cleaned up.
Gaurang, what's the story apart from banks? I know it's all about banks right now. We've seen huge jumps today. You're saying it will continue tomorrow. But what are the sectors are looking exciting to you, and maybe some of those areas which people haven't looked at yet?
Just highlight one thing. The weakest and the worst bank which delivered numbers, it has rallied almost about 20, 30, 40%. The best banks among the private sector banks were down close to about 5, 6, 7 odd percent, including some of the NBFCs and housing finance companies. And there was no reason whatsoever for private sector banks to go down, likes of HDFC Bank, which delivered great set of numbers yesterday, likes of possibly, IndusInd Bank, or tomorrow you'll see Yes Bank. There was no reason for these banks to go down. RBL Bank delivered great set of numbers today. Of course, it was post-market, but there was no reason for it to go down 4, 5, 6%. So it was basically a sentiment positive for PSU banks. Possibly a lot of short coverings that was there in the F&O segment. All of them were caught unaware, and that's the primary reason why you saw this short covering take these PSU stocks up by almost about 20, 30, 40%. Now, tomorrow, I don't know, tomorrow is the expiry, whether people would have left their short position open if they had the courage, thinking that they would possibly get lower levels to cover their shorts. I don't think so. But again, if I have to look at investment at this point of time, I think as a brokerage house, Geojit Financial Services, we are very positive on private sector banks, housing finance companies, diversified housing finance companies, microfinance companies, and of course the entire consumption theme, along with the great spend that the government is going to do on this Bharat Mala and this 85,000 kilometer of road, which I am given to understand will be made of cement concrete. I think great consumption of cement is going to happen along with metals. But these are some of the broad sectors you look at from the earnings perspective.
Thanks so much, Gaurang. Always a pleasure to speak to you. Gaurang Shah there saying that look at the private sector banks as well at this point. Now, a day after the government announced its big bank recapitalization plan, the RBI has given the move a big thumbs up. RBI Governor Urjit Patel today said that the government's plan to issue bonds will mean that capital infusion in public sector banks will be front-loaded, staggering the resultant impact on the fisc. Patel also said that the recap bonds will be liquidity neutral for the government except for interest that will have to be paid.
Now, Patel also said that the entire process will be a calibrated approach wherein banks that have addressed balance sheet issues would be prioritized for the recap. Lastly, Patel says the entire process would bring about market discipline, something that was missing from earlier schemes.
Well, bank recap continues to be the big story, second day in a row. And it's not just that, it's being called a big stimulus by the government because it's bank recap plus Bharat Mala. Will this economic booster dose be enough? What all is required to be done? We're going to talk about that a little later on Primetime Debate, in fact, with Rajiv Kumar. He's Vice Chairman of the Niti Aayog, and we're going to be asking him some questions on the economy. Do tune in for that conversation. If you have any specific questions, send them in on Facebook and Twitter. We'll be happy to put them across to the Vice Chairman of the Niti Aayog. And Reliance Communications has decided to shut down its wireless business. The beleaguered telecom operator will transfer some of its high-value customers to its enterprise business. Sajit Manga joins us now with more details. Sajit, can't get any tougher for the Anil Ambani group, and also must say that you broke the story way before anyone else.
Thanks. The point is that it's getting difficult to operate in a telecom space for some of the companies who have a leveraged balance sheet, and Reliance Communications is one of them. And they've been struggling for a lot of. They are already in an SDR, and so there is a lot of pressure on them. And that's one of the reasons why the group, it seems, has decided to shut down its wireless 2G wireless business. If you look at the entire operation of Reliance wireless business, it consists of 2G wireless, which is basically voice telephony. And voice telephony is now under so much of pressure because you have Jio, Airtel, Vodafone, all of them giving free voice. The only revenue which was coming in was from the 2G handsets, and now even feature phones have come in where Jio is in play. Airtel and Vodafone have also tied up for smartphones which are ranging from 999 to 1500, and over a period of various schemes which are coming in. So eventually voice is going to be free, and there's no revenue there, and it's not sustainable going forward. And that's one of the reasons why Reliance Communications decided to shut the wireless business. The other reason which the CEO had articulated to the employees was that they were hoping that the ASL merger will come through and that will help them sustain some bit, but the ASL merger didn't come through because of the Supreme Court case, and that's why they had to take the decision of shutting down the entire wireless business. So there are three businesses which are going to be transferred post this. One is the international ILD business, which ILD voice will be there, consumer broadband, and the third one is the 4G dongle business, which will be transferred to the enterprise business, and they'll continue to operate them as so long as they are able to sustain and are profitable on a standalone basis. So it's going to be a
When
tough.
you say they'll be transferred to the enterprise business, what does it mean for the customers and for the employees?
So nearly 40 million or 4 crore customers of 2G will have to port to some other operator or look for another operator, simple as that. And many of them are prepaid customers, so it's very easy for them to go across
dongles and stuff like that.
No, dongles moves to the enterprise business, but all the SIMs, 2G SIMs would have to be changed. Porting have to happen, or you get a new number from existing players, whether Jio, Airtel, Vodafone, Idea, whoever who is offering them the best deal there. So that's the 40 million, which is the 3G and 4G high-end customers, are now going to be moved to the enterprise business, and their tower business continues to be with them because it's a little profitable and has high tenancy rate. So that will be continued there. But the 2G wireless business is shutting down, and this is the second company after Tata to look at shutting down its wireless
Exactly, and take that thought. Well, to discuss what this means for the company and for the sector, well, at large, we're joined by Sanjay Kapoor, former Chief Executive Officer at Bharti Airtel. He joins us on the phone line from Delhi. Mr. Kapoor, thanks so much for joining us. Now, within a month, we've seen two telecom companies, Tata and RCom, exiting the wireless business. Do you really think, and would you say that telecom as we know it has changed and that voice is dead? It's all about data, especially considering the geo effect.
Yeah, I think, there's no doubt about the fact that industry is now definitely into an oligopolistic structure. And this is a movement from an unsustainable perfect competition structure that got created in India and more to do with policy around licensing. And that was absolutely unsustainable. And the next transition that is really hit the market is that, voice has become yet another data application. It's perceived to be free, and therefore there is a migration of the operator services from share voice to data. And in future, it will move from data to digital services. That will be the next level of transformation that will happen. Now in this transformation, and especially in a country like India where the price of raw material is as dear as it is, which is spectrum, it is impossible for marginal players to survive and really participate in this transformation. And that's why this consolidation of the market and change of structure happened. I think Reliance is shutting down and Docomo shutting down is just testimonial to what I just said. And therefore, there's no room for marginal players to be in this market. I'm sure after today, Airtel must be wondering what their strategy will be going forward. So I think it's a game for the deep-pocketed, and by and large, there are two incumbent players and one new challenger who seem to be the guys who will probably dominate this industry in times to come. There's a state incumbent, but I don't know what is he going to make out of this business going forward.
Okay, so consolidation has already begun. What more consolidation do you see, and its impact both on customers as well as employees?
Yes, I think it is very unfortunate that a large number of jobs will become redundant in this industry. And therefore, net intake of this industry has to be negative in the coming months, coming quarters. And I don't think the survivors in this industry have the capability of absorbing any excess people who are being let out, from jobs. There isn't enough capacity or capability with the existing three operators to absorb them. And I think one more round where the Idea and Voda will merge I think new redundancies will come into the market. So I think between the three operators, they cannot absorb the excess, which is a sad story for the employment markets as far as telecom is concerned, which was darling of the employment market. They used to pay good salaries, they used to hire good talent, and they attracted talent from a lot of FMCG industries in the past, and probably were attracting the best talent. Now suddenly has become an industry where probably people must be wondering, how long we want to be here. So I think that's a sad part.
So bad news for employees. What about for customers? As we see more consolidation, do you see those dropping prices bottoming out, or that competition bottoming out?
Look, from one perspective, there is a good news for the customers that now only the deep-pocketed players will be there, and therefore their ability or propensity to invest in customer experience is much larger than the marginal players who are there in the market. Now, how much, given the leverage balance sheets of many of them, will they be able to put back to enhance the customer experience? And also don't forget, many of the incumbent operators are supporting three technologies simultaneously, 2G, 3G, 4G. And there's a challenge in the market who's come only with a pure play 4G. So for everybody to migrate and take technology calls and move from 2G and 3G to a pure play 4G, because that's the only data environment that offers you a video grade service. Now for that to happen, there has to be very serious amount of investments that are going to be happening. But if somebody has a potential, it's only these three guys who have the potential. So I think from that perspective, it's a good news for the customers. But, is pricing and the level at which pricing is prevailing today a good news? I'm not too sure. Because at this price, even with three operators in the market, it's very difficult to make money. I think there's a structural problem that a country like India gives such amount of data for such low ARPU to customers. This is unprecedented. It doesn't happen in any part of the world. And therefore, it kills the cash in hand for these operators to plow back into consumer experience. So I think paying such low prices on a sustainable basis, I think is not a good news for the customers. Eventually, for good services, customers will have to shell out bigger amount of money. Otherwise, they will never get data experiences that they're looking for.
That's actually a fair point. Prices may be low, but data experiences aren't really at their peak for customers. But thank you so much for speaking with us, Sanjay Kapoor there, speaking on the RCom news as well as the telecom sector as a whole. But moving now to FMCG. FMCG major Hindustan Unilever beat street estimates with its profit rising 16% to 1,276 crore rupees. That's the best profit growth in 10 quarters. Volumes rose 4% as the company recovered from goods and service tax related disruptions. Charlene D'Souza breaks down the HUL numbers in this report.
With demand from CSD and the wholesale channel returning back to normal, the management of HUL expects that the underlying volume growth going ahead is expected to improve. Also, during the previous quarter, the management said that the consumer demand was stable. It also noted that rural demand continued to remain challenging. However, the situation was better than what it was earlier. The management also said that rural market is growing at levels similar to that of urban. The FMCG major also expects input costs to escalate going forward. And lastly, premiumization and natural segment continue to be a strategy of growth for HUL going forward.
Well, Kotak Mahindra Bank met street estimates in the second quarter. The private lender reported a 22.3% rise in profit, while its net interest income increased 16%. Asset quality for the bank also remained largely stable. Deepak Gupta, joint MD of Kotak Mahindra Bank, says the government's recapitalization scheme will drive growth in the banking sector going forward.
I think there is still sufficient opportunity in the marketplace. See, two things will happen. Market growth will pick up, I think, arising out of this. Yeah, ultimately, you will have the public sector banks back into the market, wanting to lend out more, lend out to a wider spectrum. Growth will pick up. So I think there will be overall demand growth per se. And from our point of view, our share point of view, to sustain the level of growth which we have is not very difficult. So I think it should not be that problematic, really.
Now, HCL Technologies delivered a steady second quarter performance. Net profit rose to 2,277 crore rupees, while revenues rose by 2.3% in the quarter ending September. However, the company maintained their guidance for the year ahead. Speaking to Bloomberg Quint's Neeraj Shah, the management said that it expects the second half to be better than the first.
This first half was also characterized by robust booking. Our booking in first half of this year is significantly higher than the booking in the last year first half. Given the booking and the confidence of what we are seeing in the market and some of the offerings in Mode 2 and Mode 3, they're really resonating very, very strongly, and that's why we continue to maintain the guidance, and we expect the second half to be even better than the first half.
What do you think goes into the second half? Because almost every sell-side report that I read speaks about two key beneficiaries within large cap IT because of what's happening to cross currency. One, what is your estimate of what will happen to cross currency, if you can? And two, the resultant impact that it would have on your operational metrics for the second half as well as for the consolidated year.
I think the performance on the margin front has been very good and very consistent, I would call it.
And no need for revising that guidance either. You stick into 19.5, 20.5.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. You reckon it will be difficult to reach the upper end?
So I mean, we are taking various steps. So I mean, we have to continue to invest in our business.
Yeah,
we keep on balancing between the two, but at the same time trying to manage the business. So I think one of the things which Vijay mentioned, that India was more of a project-centric type of work. So with the infrastructure is also becoming more run the business, more predictable type of business, which also gives us a confidence in terms of margins.
Now, the government has informed the Supreme Court that the deadline for mandatory linking of Aadhaar to avail benefits of various government schemes can be postponed to March 31st next year. However, it comes with a catch. The government has said that this extension will apply only to those who do not have an Aadhaar card yet. Arpan Chaturvedi sums up all the action from court in this report.
What the government informed the Supreme Court is that it is open to extending the deadline, which is 31st December, for linking of different schemes with the Aadhaar card to 31st March. However, they also informed that this will only be limited for those people who do not possess an Aadhaar card at this moment. Now, this suggestion was made, and after that, the government also asked for the deferment of the Aadhaar hearing, the challenges through the petitions which challenge the validity of the Aadhaar scheme. The government said that this hearing, which is proposed to be held in first week of November, be extended or deferred, as the government is separately working on a data protection law. The petitioners, however, objected to the demand of the government and sought an early hearing of the matter, and they also said that this extension of 31st March should also include those who have an Aadhaar card but do not want to link it to various schemes such as the bank account. Now, when this query was posed to the Attorney General for India, he said that he needs to take instructions from the government on whether this can be done or not, and after this the Chief Justice asked him to take the instructions and come back and mention this issue again on Monday.
Well, meanwhile, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has accused the government of interfering with people's privacy through Aadhaar. In fact, she went all out at the NDA government by stating that she will not link her Aadhaar with her mobile connection even if her connection is snapped. Responding to the Modi government's anti-black money celebrations on the 8th of November, she also said that her party, the Trinamool Congress, will mark 8th November, that is the anniversary of the demonetization move, as a black day.
Well, in more national news, after much criticism over delay in announcing the dates for the Gujarat elections, the Election Commission came out with the schedule for the poll-bound state this afternoon. Now, Gujarat will go to vote in two phases. Phase 1 will take place on the 9th of December, covering 19 districts and 89 constituencies. Phase 2 will take place on the 14th of December and will cover 14 districts and 93 constituencies. The counting for the assembly elections in Gujarat will take place on the 18th of December.
9th December for first phase and 14th December for second phase. Date of counting will be 18th December for both the phases. 18th December, that is Monday. Next important aspect is webcasting and CCTV at polling stations. Webcasting would be undertaken at the identified critical polling station for live monitoring of the election process to keep a check on the illegal activities such as booth capturing, money distribution, bogus voting, and to bring complete transparency in the voting process would be undertaken.
And we're going to discuss the Gujarat elections in primetime debate tonight as well. The dates are finally out. How high are the stakes? What are the ground reports saying? All of that coming up on the big Gujarat fight at primetime debate a little bit from now. So stay tuned for that. And Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has announced that the BJP will celebrate the anniversary of demonetization, that is the 8th of November, as Anti-Black Money Day. Speaking to media, Jaitley said that this would be a priority program for BJP. The move comes after 18 political parties announced that they would observe November 8th as a Black Day, protesting the note ban.
एक वर्ष पूरा होगा जो प्रधानमंत्री जी ने एक वर्ष पहले हाई डिनोमिनेशनल करेंसी का डिमोनेटाइजेशन किया था। 8 नवंबर 2017 को भारतीय जनता पार्टी पूरे देश में एंटी ब्लैक मनी डे, काला धन विरोधी दिवस मनाएगी।
99.998 crore currency that was deposited back was genuine, and only 0.0013% was fake currency. So you have more than 99% or 99% money is back. Where is the issue of having this national celebration or commemoration of the fight against black money?
Now, in a rather blunt message, India and the United States today asked Pakistan to dismantle terrorist infrastructure operating from its soil. Both India and the US also said that terror havens inside Pakistan will not be tolerated anymore. The message came after External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj and US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson held bilateral talks. Swaraj insisted that any country backing terror groups must be held accountable. But defense was not the only issue in focus. The two leaders discussed ways to boost defense and security ties, as well as trade ties. Swaraj confirmed that she raised the H-1B visa issue with Tillerson and requested the US to not take any action that would impact Indians.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration has made the renewal of non-immigrant visas like H-1B and L-1 more difficult. This is likely to hurt Indian IT professionals. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services said that the burden of establishing eligibility now lies on the applicant every time they apply for an extension. Earlier, the burden of establishing proof was on the U.S. federal agency.
Now, it looks like Chinese President Xi Jinping has no intention of stepping down anytime soon. Now, Xi today unveiled his new leadership team of 6 Politburo members, with all of them having one thing in common: their age. Xi's standing committee members are all over 60 years, leaving no clear successor. This raises speculation that Xi is looking to stay in power even after his second term ends in 2022.
So let's take a closer look at Xi's inner circle. Li Keqiang, the Premier of the State Council, who is officially China's second most powerful politician. However, his political influence has been waning as Xi sees him as an ally of former President Hu Jintao. Next, there's Li Shanzhu, a longtime friend of Xi and his current chief of staff. However, at 67, he is too old to take over in 2022. Wang Yang is another politician seen close to Xi. He is the president's top foreign policy advisor as well, but at 62, age is not his best friend. Then there is Wang Huning, China's top trade negotiator, who has made many a visit to the United States in order to maintain healthy relations. But at 62, he also may have that challenge. Xiao Leji at 60 is perhaps the youngest of Xi's standing committee members, but he may still lack the political clout to take over in 2022. Lastly, there is Han Zheng. The technocrat has spent his entire career in Shanghai, where Xi's deputy during his brief stint as party chief in 2007 as well. Well, interesting to see that they have a political age bar
They do.
for China or some sort of that, because
do.
in India, old is gold,
And they
as
do.
far as politicians are concerned.
And this is after Xi Jinping has actually managed to revise the charter with Xi Jinping's thoughts on socialism. So it's a lot of power there, all concentrated in one place.
We'll take a very short break. Primetime debate up next, but we must tell everyone what we're doing today. We're speaking to Rajiv Kumar next. He's the Vice Chairman of the Niti Aayog. We're talking about the economy and the booster that has been given by the government. Is it enough? What next? And do give your questions as well if you want to ask Rajiv Kumar anything. We're also going to talk about the big Gujarat fight. The dates are in. Finally, what are the factors that the Gujaratis will vote on? All of that coming up next.
That sounds like an action-packed primetime debate. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned to Bloomberg Quint.